Transformers 1 was directed by Josh Cooley and it stars Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry as Orion Pax and D16. And this is the Cybertron animated prequel that we all been waiting for. So in this movie, this movie tells the origin story of how Optimus Prime and Megatron back in the day, known as Orion Pax and D16, of how they became best friends to brotherly figures to each other, to actual sworn enemies that would change the fate of Cybertron forever. And now we got our movie. Now, I was really looking forward to this movie because when they announced that like a few years ago, when they announced that they were doing a Cybertron animated prequel, I said, I hope they pull this movie off perfectly, and I hope they do this movie justice. And now, a few years later, we finally got this movie, this Cybertron animated prequel called Transformers 1. Excuse me. Now, when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I mean, there's some people who don't like the trailers. There's some people who like the trailers. But the trailers got me hyped. As I watched the teaser trailer, I was like, I feel like the animation wasn't quite finished. I think it was quite finished or not. But for the second trailer, after I saw the second trailer, I said, okay, well, the animation is better in the second trailer than it was in the probably in the teaser trailer, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I understand they needed to finish up the animation style, so I get it. But I do agree with everyone. Transformers fans, like it sounds like the critics, the audience, the Transformers fans, the older Transformers fans, the younger Transformers fans, any other fan or any moviegoer who went to see this movie really loves this movie. I think there's some people who don't really like this. Those who have seen the movie probably didn't like it, so I get it. Everyone has opinions. But for me as a Transformers fan, after watching it for myself, this movie was awesome. Do I love this movie? Hell yeah. Did this movie give me everything that I've been asking for a Transformers movie? Yes. This movie was everything that I wanted to see in a Transformers movie. This movie was everything that I wanted a Transformers movie to be. Transformers 1 is easily one of the best movies I ever seen all year. So with that down, I guess that's pretty much it for that. Let's talk about the actors and the characters themselves. Starting off with is Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax, aka Optimus Prime. Now I was expecting Peter Cullen to come back as Optimus Prime, but I guess they wanted to pick someone a little bit younger, like Chris Hemsworth, for example. So I mean, I get it, but I wish Peter Cullen was in this movie. Just saying. So, Orion Pax in this movie. I like the chemistry, the brotherly hood, the brotherlyhood that he has with D16, of how they became best friends. Yeah, they were not only they were best friends, but they were brothers. And this was way before Orion Pax becomes the legendary Optimus Prime. And not only that, he is a cogless bot, but he isn't the only cogless bot. Like they're working with cogless bots that can't transform. Yeah, that can't transform at all. But they do meet up with Alpha Trion. Yeah, but with Orion Pax, D16, and Alita 1 and B127, they do meet up with Alphatron. He gives them their cogs and they can transform, and there you have it. And now, as he becomes Optimus Prime, he will fight. He fights against Megatron, and there you have it. So, and I will say, Chris Hemsworth is really good as Orion Pax, aka Optimus Prime, and that's all I can say for Orion Pax, aka Optimus Prime. Next up is Brian Tyree Henry as D16, aka Megatron. Now, with D16 on the other hand, he's a cogless bot. He can't transform, but when he does get his T-cog, he can transform. And this was when he does have excellent chemistry with Orion Pax before he became the actual enemy, the actual villain that we all know to love. Yeah, we're talking about Megatron. Yeah, this was before he became Megatron and become the sworn enemy to Optimus Prime. And there you have it. So, I guess that's pretty much it. So, Brian Tyree Henry is really good in this movie as D16, aka Megatron, but it would have been nice if Frank Walker came back to voice Megatron again, but I get it, they wanted to pick someone different, but All I know is I just wish Frank Walker was in this movie as Megatron, but that's all I know. And that's all I can say for D16, aka Megatron. Next up is Scarlett Johansson as Alita 1, or Alita. So, Alita 1 in this movie. I don't think they touch much on her in the trailer. All I know is she does team up. She does go with Hawaiian Pax, D16, and B-127, even though they're cogless bots, but they went on this mission. And they do get their T-Cogs to transform, and they did find out there's an all-out war going on, and now they have to stop this war. And there you have it. And Alita 1 is easily one of the badass characters in this movie. She does have some really awesome badass moves in this movie. And that's all I can say. And Scarlett Johansson is really good as Alita 1. And that's all I can say for Alita 1. Next up is Keegan-Michael Key as B-127. This was before he became Bumblebee. Now, B-127 in this movie, he does talk a lot. And then as I looked at B-127, I'm like, is it just me, or are you taking the humor from Mirage from Transformers: Rise of the Beast? No, he didn't. He actually created. I think, in my opinion, it sounds like he actually created his own comedy humor, because he's just a comedy relief for the movie. But yeah, B-127 does talk a lot in this movie, and yeah, I think there'll be some time where you're just like, don't you just talk less, dude? Like, I get it. And he does say Badassatron, which is announced Badassatron. Yeah, he does say Badassatron in this deeper voice, which made me laugh out loud in the trailer and also in the movie. But yeah, B-127 does but I think there's some times where B-127 does have some, like, at least one sad moment, or at least some serious moments, or at least one serious moment. I might have missed something, but B-127 does have some funny moments. And he does make me laugh out loud. But like I said, there's some times where he does talk a lot. But, I mean, I had no issues with it. I mean, Keegan-Michael Key was actually pretty good as B-127. So, Keegan-Michael Key, is he good as B-127? Yes. And he actually, and it sounds like B-127 is easily one of my favorite characters in this movie. So, with Keegan-Michael Key, he's pretty good in this movie he's really good in this movie as B-127. And that's all I can say for B-127, or I should say Badassatron. Next up is John Hamm as Sentinel Prime. Now, Sentinel wasn't really touched much in the trailer. The only thing I can say is he does have a backstory, which I won't tell you. You have to see the movie for yourself. But there were some things that with Sentinel Prime, which I'm like, okay, this was unexpected. I didn't know what was going on. So I did not know this was going on. But I can't really tell you because it wasn't in the trailer. So you have to, like I said, you have to see the movie for yourself. But I do like Sentinel Prime, but Sentinel Prime was a pretty cool character in this movie. Yeah, but Sentinel Prime, he was a pretty cool character in this movie. And all I can say is John Hamm was really good in this movie as Sentinel Prime, and that's all I can say for Sentinel Prime. And last but definitely not least is Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion. Now, I love Alpha Trion in this movie. His design looks pretty cool. So Alpha Trion in this movie, the only thing I can say is that he does give the cogless bots, Hawaiian Pax, D16, B-127, and Alita 1, their cogs, so that way they can transform, because they've been cogless bots for a while, and now they're cogged bots, so that way they can transform and get into the action. And there you have it. And Lawrence Fishburne is really good as Alpha Trion, and that's all I can say for Alpha Trion. And that's it for the actors and the characters themselves. So the action sequences were awesome. Everything in this movie, the action sequences was everything that I wanted to see in a Transformers movie. Fight scenes that focuses on the robots. And this actually kind of brings me back to the 1986 Transformers movie, or Transformers Prime for that matter, where all the fight scenes with all the robots were absolutely amazing. The fight scenes in this movie were fantastic. But the final fight scene was amazing, but there's some times where the editing and the pacing just rushes back and forth, and you can't really, you can tell what's going on, but but there was most of the times where I felt a little bit dizzied out, where where some of the fight scene, where some of the final fight scenes felt a little bit too fast paced, and I'm like, you guys have got to slow down on the editing. Yeah, slow down on the pacing next time. I mean, don't get me wrong, the fight scenes, the final fight was amazing. Now, I don't really touch base on humor, but with the humor in this movie, the humor was amazing. I love the humor. The comedy humor was funny. The comedy humor was funny. You don't have to worry about the nasty humor that we have seen in the past live action Transformers movies. The humor in this movie was funny. The humor in this movie was pretty funny, and all the comedy was funny. And that's all I can say. And the humor in this movie was amazing. And there's most of the times where, some of the performances in this movie were outstanding. They were outstanding. Like, I really love the performances of how there's some robots that does have some emotions. They're, some of the robots, I think, most of our main, 4 of our main characters does have emotions. They do give one of the best acting performances I ever seen in a Transformers movie, something that I've been wanting to see for a while now. So the Easter eggs in this movie made me lose my mind. I literally lost it. Every Easter egg scene, there's some Easter eggs characters in this movie, and there's some Easter egg characters that was in the forefront for a little bit, and I was like, oh, I know this character, I know that character. But there was one Easter egg that shocked me the most, that brings me back as a kid again. I was like, I feel like a kid again looking at this Easter egg once again. So, this movie does have some G1 elements in this movie. Yeah, there's some G1 elements of some of the Easter eggs in this movie that really shocked me the most. I was like, oh, I know this character, I know that character, I think I remember this character. But I think there's some Easter eggs that kind of rushes away. And I'm like, seriously? I just want to take a good glimpse at the Easter egg character. Just want to see who it is. And speaking of Easter egg characters, speaking of Easter egg G1 characters, you can pretty much tell who is who. Your favorite character. You go like, oh, I know this character. He's one of my favorite characters. She's one of my favorite characters. The Easter egg characters were amazing in this movie. Some talked, some didn't, so I get it. But for the rest of this movie, I will say the animation style was beautifully shotted. The way the 3D CG animation turned out, the CGI animation was fantastic. I mean, even though I was expecting the animation from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, maybe, but maybe there was some change of saying, let's just make it 3D CGI animation. And guess what? The animation in this movie was fantastic. I love the animation style. It looks great. And this movie being a different Transformers movie, this is the first Transformers movie with no humans. From the live action movies in the past, the humans have been taking over the spotlight way too much. But for Bumblebee, on the other hand, that's totally different because Bumblebee was a fish out of water and coming of age story. But from the past movies, the humans have been taking over the fights, the final battle, and most of the scenes of every single Transformers movie. And I'm like, can we just get to focus on the robots from now on? Because we've been wanting this for a while now. Since the very beginning of Michael Bay's first Transformers movie, or Revenge of the Fallen for that matter. So, this is actually the first Transformers movie with no humans whatsoever. And do I appreciate that? Yeah, I mean, I get it. It takes place on Cybertron. And I'm glad this movie takes place on Cybertron. Because this is an origin story that has no humans. No humans. We wanted more focus on the robots for a while now. So I guess they want to take elements from the 1986 Transformers movie or the Cybertron video games. In the Cybertron video games, and just be like, yeah, let's just focus on the robots. And have this movie take place on Cybertron and not Earth. And that is why this movie takes place basically on Cybertron. So there you have it. And I like that. So I can't wait for the next. I can't wait, and I'm hoping the next Transformers franchise does get a lot better than the past movies. Hopefully, we'll just have to wait and see and find out. And I'm hoping that we'll probably get a sequel to this movie, like Transformers 2, which I think that'll be a really good title. Transformers 2. What do you guys think of that title? I think the title was great. So I'm hoping for a Transformers 2 in the near future, which I'm hoping about, which I'm hoping they put that movie out for the fans, and myself included. So with that down, I guess that pretty much wraps it up for for Transformers 1. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? But if you have seen it, did you like it or didn't like it? But for me, I love this movie. And that's all I can say for Transformers 1. The review, I guess that pretty much wraps it up. There's nothing much else to say. So be sure to like, subscribe, press the notification button, follow me on Instagram, comment down below. And I'll see you on my next video. And thank you for watching.